Good morning, everyone. My name is Federica Porchera, and today I am going to talk to you about the strategies of linguistic manipulation adapted in politics to influence the behaviors and ideas of the voting population. My thesis is based on the principle that every word can evoke different images and ideas in a listener according to its nuance of meaning, so it can affect how people perceive events. It was proved by an experiment run by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. First, some volunteers were shown a video of a car accident. Then, they were divided into two groups. The first group was asked at what speed the cars were going when they collided. The second group was asked at what speed the cars were going when they crashed. People belonging to the first group indicated much lower speeds than those belonging to the second. In addition, a week later, the same volunteers were asked if they had seen broken glass in the video of the accident. Among the people who had seen it, those of the first group were half of those of the second. However, the truth was that there was no broken glass. This experiment shows how powerful but also how dangerous words can be if used with the aim of manipulating people and shaping their view of reality. In this regard, it is possible to identify some strategies of linguistic manipulation adopted by the totalitarian regimes of the 20th century for this very purpose. One of these strategies consisted in manipulating the meaning of words, because controlling the meaning of words means controlling the way people perceive the concepts behind them, and consequently the way they see reality. Emblematic examples of terms whose meaning was manipulated by the Nazi regime are the term democracy, which was no longer understood as the government of the people but as the synonym of chaos and corruption that devastated Western Europe, and the term Jews, which was loaded with such a negative connotation that people started to perceive them as enemies to fight and as the cause of the national problems. Some examples of the manipulation of the meaning of words can also be found in contemporary history, although it is necessary to keep in mind that, as Gianrico Carofiglio said, the totalitarianism of language does not always and necessarily go together with the totalitarianism of the form of government. We can analyze the term arbitration award, that is a legal term indicating a settlement or compromise that solves litigation provided by a person of recognized impartiality and authority. This definition is fundamental to understand the way in which this term was manipulated to obtain the approval in 2003 of Law Number 140, called Schifani Arbitration Award. This law provided for the immunity and suspension of the ongoing trials against the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, the Presidents of the Chamber and Senate, and the President of the Constitutional Court, but it was declared unconstitutional in 2004. Analyzing its definition, it is possible to understand the reasons why naming Law 140 Arbitration Award was misleading and altered its nature. First, it should be stressed that using the term arbitration award to indicate a measure that has the value and effectiveness of laws is wrong, since an arbitration award is simply a compromising measure. Moreover, the Schifani Arbitration Award was not proposed to resolve litigation, but to grant immunity to Silvio Berlusconi, who was Prime Minister and accused of corruption in the SME trial at the time. Finally, Schifani, who had formulated it, was not a person of recognized impartiality, but a strong sympathizer of Berlusconi as well as a member of the Forza Italia party, of which the former Prime Minister was president. Evidently, the choice of the term arbitration award was not coincidental, but aimed at putting over the idea that Law 140 was an impartial compromise that had the purpose of resolving litigation, and not an unconstitutional act that, in order to protect an individual, violated the principle that all are equal before the law. Another strategy that was widely implemented by Hitler and Mussolini and is still adopted by all contemporary parties and politicians is the continuous repetition of simple and effective slogans. Repetitions play a fundamental role in the manipulation of the masses, since they bore listeners in the long run. This is not negative at all, because when bored, people do not listen nor analyze words carefully. They absorb them unconsciously, to the point that they are convinced that the ideas behind those words are their own ideas. An experiment described by Wenke and Reutner helps to understand how much the passivity with which people accept what they are told contributes to influencing their thoughts. This experiment was about advertising statements, but it is also valid for political statements. A group of people was asked to choose between a normal body cream and one without lecithin. Another group was asked to choose between a normal body cream and one with lecithin. Those of the first group preferred the version that did not contain it. Those of the second, the version that contained it. This is because, in the first case, the potential buyers assumed that lecithin was a toxic substance, while in the second case, that it was a good substance. The truth was that if the people of both groups had thought more about their choice, they would have found out that lecithin does not exist. They had simply assumed that its presence or absence was relevant. The examples provided so far show how people can be manipulated through words and the importance of being able to understand how and when someone is trying to manipulate us, because awareness is the first requirement for choosing independently what is best for our society and ourselves, and in turn, the possibility of independent choice is the foundation of individual and collective freedom.